If you've ever mowed your lawn and stared at the mountain of grass clippings left behind, you've probably wondered, what should I do with all this? Some people bag it up and send it to the landfill. Others pile it in the corner of the yard thinking it will magically turn into soil, and a few toss it straight onto the compost pile. But here's the frustrating truth. Grass clippings rarely turn into rich, crumbly soil the way we expect them to. Instead, they often turn into a slimy, smelly mess that seems to sit there forever without breaking down. The good news? There's a simple trick that can transform those clippings into the black gold your garden is starving for. To understand why grass clippings resist becoming soil, you need to know what's happening inside them. Grass is packed with nitrogen. That's why it's green, lush, and so quick to grow back after mowing. But decomposition doesn't happen with nitrogen alone. It really requires balance. Soil life, from fungi to microbes to earthworms, needs both nitrogen and carbon to, work effectively. If you've ever heard of the greens and browns of composting, grass is a green, high in nitrogen, wet, and quick to rot. Without enough carbon-rich browns like leaves, straw, cardboard, or sawdust to balance it out, your pile of clippings just collapses into a smothered, anaerobic mess. That's why it stinks. It isn't turning into soil, it's suffocating. Another reason grass clippings struggle to break down is that they're often compacted. When you dump a big pile of clippings in one spot, they mat together like a thick carpet. Think of it this way, soil life is kind of like a fire. You need fuel, which is carbon, heat, which is nitrogen, and air, that's oxygen, to keep it burning. With just grass clippings alone, you're actually missing 2/3 of the recipe. So, how do you fix it? Well, the solution is surprisingly simple. Just mix your clippings with the right ingredients. If you want them to break down quickly, never dump them in a big wet pile. Instead, layer them. For every bucket of fresh grass, add at least 2 buckets of dry, carbon-rich material. Shredded leaves are perfect, especially in the fall. Straw, wood shavings, or even torn-up cardboard also work beautifully. Mix them together loosely so that air pockets remain. This instantly changes the chemistry of your pile. Instead of suffocating, it starts breathing. Instead of smelling like ammonia, it smells like fresh-cut hay. And within days, you'll notice heat building up in the pile. That's the sign microbes are finally feasting. One of the easiest hacks for using grass clippings is to spread them thinly as mulch instead of piling them up. A 1-inch layer around your vegetable plants or garden beds works wonders. The thin layer dries quickly, preventing matting, while still providing nitrogen to the soil beneath. The key is moderation. Too thick a layer, and you're back to the slimy anaerobic problem. Just enough, and it becomes food for the soil rather than suffocation. Another overlooked trick is to combine grass clippings with kitchen scraps. It's a simple yet effective way to enhance your composting efforts. Remember, grass provides nitrogen, while things like shredded paper towels, eggshells, or vegetable peels bring in additional carbon and structure. It's all about finding that perfect balance, If you bury small amounts of grass mixed with food scraps directly into your garden soil, worms will flock to it. Unlike a giant mound in the corner of your yard, buried organic matter stays moist, balanced, and broken down quickly. It's quite fascinating how nature takes care of itself, isn't it? Over time, you're not just disposing of waste, you're building living soil directly where your plants need it. Of course, timing matters too. Fresh clippings behave differently from dried clippings. Fresh grass is wet, sticky, and prone to compacting. Dried clippings, on the other hand, act more like straw, lighter, less prone to matting, and easier to blend. If you can't mix clippings immediately with carbon-rich materials, just let them sit in the sun for a day or two. They'll dry out, lose that slimy edge, and honestly become much easier to manage. There's also a hidden benefit to using grass clippings correctly. They're essentially free fertilizer. When managed properly, they release nitrogen slowly as they decompose. That nitrogen feeds microbes, which in turn release nutrients in plant-available forms. This means your tomatoes, peppers, and squash get a steady diet of nutrition without you ever opening a bag of store-bought fertilizer. Over time, your soil becomes darker, looser, and more full of life, all from something most people throw away. But here's the big secret. It isn't about the clippings themselves, it's about creating the right system. Piles of grass don't turn into soil because they're unbalanced. Soil is built by life, and life needs diversity. When you mix grass with other organic materials, you're recreating what happens in nature. Think about a forest floor. Leaves, branches, grasses, fruit, and everything else fall together, layering and breaking down into humus. Grass clippings alone are like trying to bake a cake with only eggs. You'll never get the result you want. But combine them with the other ingredients, and suddenly, the magic happens. So the next time you mow your lawn, don't curse the pile of clippings or send them off to the landfill. Instead, see them for what they are, one of the most abundant, free sources of nitrogen you'll ever have. Mix them with browns, layer them thin, or use them as mulch, and watch how quickly they disappear, not into a smelly mess, but into rich living soil. Your compost pile will heat up, your worms will multiply, and your plants will thank you with stronger growth and bigger harvests. The truth is, grass clippings can become soil. They just need a little help. Balance, air, and the right partners in the pile make all the difference. Do this one simple thing, and what used to be a waste problem becomes your garden's biggest asset. And once you see how fast those clippings vanish into black gold, you'll never look at mowing day the same way again.